Alrighty, everybody, let's look at tonight's 4-game NHL slate on Draftkings. Much prefer the 4-gamer to the 2-gamer we had last night. I'm going to go through each game here. There are some spots that stand out as pretty good, some spots that stand out as pretty bad, and some spots that need a little context before we decide how we want to play it for fantasy. So we have Toronto, Boston, the Islanders, and the Hurricanes, Colorado, Winnipeg, and Nashville, Vancouver on tonight's slate. Starting with Toronto and Boston. Boston looks like a clear attack spot, a good place for us to look for our lineups there at home. So Boston 1 grades out pretty well. Toronto not scoring very highly, even though they have the highest projected high danger chances on the slate, only because of how good Jeremy Swayman was this season and how amazing he's been in this series with the Leafs. So I don't hate going to Toronto too, and they obviously have talent there, but with how good Swayman's playing, it's hard to recommend any stack going against him. So Toronto scores really lowly because really low. I don't know. They have a really low targetability score because Swayman has incredible goaltending numbers in this series, 1.34 goals against and a .956 save percentage. That's absurd stuff. So Boston 1 looks like a good spot. And then we have the Islanders and the Hurricanes. This is a terrible spot for the Islanders. It has been all series long. They're just outclassed in every way going against Carolina. Carolina's better offensively, better defensively, better special teams, better goaltending. They're just a far superior team. Islanders' offense has not really been able to generate much. So they're off the board for me as far as the stacking partner goes. They do have some defensemen we'll look at in a little bit, but as far as the stack, I'm out on the Islanders. Carolina, they're fine. They score kind of in the middle of the range tonight, actually on the low end. Just not a very high event series with the Islanders. So probably not going to look to Carolina as one of my primary secondary stacks. Moving on to Colorado and Winnipeg. Here we have one of the weirder series and probably the most interesting one from a fantasy perspective tonight. Georgiev, I guess after game 1, decided that he might try playing goalie with his eyes open, and that seems to have helped a lot. Game 1, he gave up, 7 goals, and since then, he's been really, really impressive. So I don't know which Georgiev we're going to get. If it's game 1, Georgiev, both sides are in play. If Georgiev is playing like he has been the last few games, then it's pretty much strictly Colorado 2 for me. So Colorado 2 actually has the highest targetability on the slate. They've had Hellebuck's number. In fact, Brossoit got the third period last night. I guess, I don't know if they were looking to change it up, looking for a spark, just giving Hellebuck extra rest. I don't know if Hellebuck's going to start tonight or not. We need to keep an eye on that. But either way, Colorado 2 is going to be the top option on the slate for me. And then moving on to Nashville and Vancouver. This is such a weird series. I don't know if you've been watching it. Vancouver can't seem to put any shots on goal, and yet somehow they keep winning. It's like one of the most low event series I think I've ever seen. They'll barely shoot and somehow they'll win. The problem with that is that it makes Saros unplayable. Even in wins, he's hardly scoring any fantasy points. And then, because he's not getting any saves. And then for Vancouver's offense, Besser was the entire offense the last game. I think he had 8 shots and 3 goals. And so Besser would have been great as a one-off, and I think maybe JT Miller had a couple of assists. So you can hope for, that's really what you have to hope for if you stack Vancouver, is that one line is responsible for all the scoring because not many players are going to hit the shots bonus. So you need multi-point nights from whatever line you choose to stack. Now that being said, Vancouver does grade out as the 3rd best offense to target on tonight's slate. Just keep in mind that you really have to have points there. So even though they score really well, they clearly are behind Colorado and Boston to me. Just less ways for them to hit value. They have to record goals and assists because odds are the shots aren't going to be there. So looking at the slate as a whole, the top option, Colorado 2, because they're on the road. Then comes Boston 1 at home against Toronto. And then Vancouver 1. But again, I think there's a pretty steep drop between Colorado, Boston, and then down to Vancouver. Winnipeg would be the next spot. Again, that series, Colorado would seem to be the better team. I just don't trust Georgiev. But again, he's playing really well the last 3 games. So if you've been watching these videos, watching my channel, one of the ways I like to save money is by finding shot blocking defensemen in good matchups where they have a better than average shot of hitting the blocks bonus. And if you get someone at sub 3K, and even if they don't put any shots on goal or record any points, if they get 3 block shots or more, you're feeling okay. So in that vein, we actually have a decent number of defensemen we can look to tonight. Boston, the Islanders, and Winnipeg have been some of the best shot blocking teams in the playoffs so far, especially the Islanders going against the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes, I think, got their shots blocked at either the highest rate or second highest rate during the season. The Islanders blocked a lot of shots beforehand, and then so they have a perfect matchup for some of their cheap shot blockers. Robert Bertuzzo is someone I've been playing a lot on the slates that the Islanders are on. He's always close to min salary, and he has a really good shot to hit the block bonus. Again, 2,600, he gets blocks, 3 blocks, you're happy. You can also look to Romanov in that game. Boston, Hampus Lindholm has been blocking a lot of shots, playing a lot of minutes. And then this Parker Witherspoon guy has come in because Andrew Peeke is hurt, and he's kind of taken over the Peeke role of eating minutes and blocking shots. I don't think you're going to get anything offensively from him, but he's not afraid to put his body on the line and get those 3 blocks for you at min salary. And then if you want to go to the Jets, Sandberg and Pionk are the 2 guys that have been blocking shots, but Sandberg's the only really cheap one there, so he makes the list at 2,600. As for goalies, I don't even know what to do with this Vancouver-Nashville game. I don't want to play Saros. Even if they win, the save upside's not there. DeSmith was terrible the first game he played. He was great the second game. He was out the third game. I mean, just kind of a mess of a situation there. But if you get the good Casey DeSmith at 7,800 at home, he can be fine. And same kind of situation here with Colorado and Winnipeg. Georgiev was terrible. Then he's been great. Hellebuck's been great all season. Been terrible against Colorado in the playoffs. Kind of depends on if you're stacking Winnipeg, you can use Hellebuck. And if you're not stacking Winnipeg, I have no problem using Georgiev either. Although I never feel comfortable rostering him. The most surefire goalie to get the win is going to be Freddie Anderson, like hands down. But again, I've struggled to see his upside going against an Islanders team that is just overmatched in every way in Carolina. I think Swayman might represent the best mix of upside with odds of winning. So I think Swayman would be my top option at 8,100. If I want to save money, I think DeSmith is probably where I go. And then if I'm looking for something that has crazy upside, high risk, high reward, Connor Hellebuck, I think, would take that spot for me. So Swayman, DeSmith or Georgiev, and Hellebuck on the cheap side. The rest of the guys I don't think I have any interest in playing. So Colorado 2 is my top option with Boston 1. That'll be my ideal lineup. We'll start with stacking Colorado 2, Boston 1, and then maybe using one of these cheap defensemen, figure out which goalie fits in, depending on the price range that I have left, and then just see what I need. If I can get anybody from Vancouver 1, I'd be pretty happy with that. I think that's kind of going to do it for tonight's slate. The model will be linked down below. I'll update starting goalies as things change, if we get any changes. Keep an eye on DeSmith. I think he's supposed to be back. We don't know for sure. Keep an eye on Hellebuck. Brossoit got the third period of the last game. I don't know if they're going to make a change or stick with Hellebuck, so keep an eye on him. The rest of the guys, I think, are pretty locked in as the starting goaltenders for their club. Okay, if there's anything else that you all want to see in the model, any other stats or any other information I can add that you think would help you in your daily fantasy lineup building, just let me know. And then if you would rather me put the skaters from these lines in the stack, if that makes it easier for you, just let me know. I have no problem doing that. Please check daily faceoff or left wing lock. As you're building your lineups, the coaches can shuffle lines, and so I liked using daily faceoff. If I'm looking at the Jets, you can see this was updated today for the Jets lines, but they can shift, so keep an eye on those lineups as you're building. Make sure you're getting guys that have even strength, and then try to find even strength plus power play correlation to give yourself the best upside. All right, I think that pretty much covers it for our 4-game Tuesday slate. Good luck, all.